All right, everyone. My name is Kit. This is Americans Learn. And today is November 9th, 4 days after the election, I believe. Yes, 4 days after the election. But see, the thing is, this video came out 3 days ago. So let's talk about it. No tax on tips. Even Trump and Kamala agree. And it's from none other than good friend, a man who believes in deleting stuff. Delete me. There you go. Want to give a shout out to that. But give it up for the fat electrician. The fat electrician who does so much great content and great work. So please, everyone, follow him on all the social media platforms. It's the right thing to do. It's the one thing to do. And since the election is over, please, everyone, let's try and move on and be happy. You know, because 4 years down the road, there's going to be another election. And then 4 years after that, another election. And 4 years after that, another election. But I think we all can universally agree, come on, lay off the taxation, okay? It's getting pretty expensive out there, and inflation ain't going down. And I sure would like, no pun intended, to sweep all that inflation away. Maybe. Hopefully. Someday. Just not today, because it's getting pricey here in Chicago, and it's getting not too good for your boy Kit Kat. But anyways, let's get ready to enjoy this video in a 3, 2, and an uno. And seriously, folks, the election's over. Everybody just move on, move on, move on. But let's talk about taxation on tips. And I got a tip for you. Stay out of dark alleys.
All right, full disclosure, this is just going to turn into unhinged yelling pretty much immediately. Today we're talking about not taxing tips. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, both presidential candidates have come out and said that they no longer want to tax tips. Now, is this blatantly political pandering to get votes because Nevada's a swing state and a ton of them rely on tips for income? Absolutely, okay? But unfortunately, pretty much every tax cut on the books is either pandering directly for votes or pandering to get donations to their campaign so that they can buy more votes. And while that's certainly not ideal, I thought it was cool because this is probably like the only time in my adult life that I can think of where two presidential candidates were on the same page about literally anything. And honestly, it just made sense because you've got Republicans, people on the right side of the aisle that generally speaking are just against taxes, period, of any kind. And then you've got Democrats or people on the left side of the aisle that, you know, they're more pro-taxes, but generally speaking, they want to tax richer people, not necessarily tax lower income people, like generally speaking, the people that are working for tips. And then for me, I was just excited I was going to be allowed to tip somebody that did a good job, knowing that the government wasn't going to step in like fucking Debo and take some of the money.
So y'all don't get nothing?
Hell yeah. Got about $200, huh, Debo?
I got about $200.
Because that's absolutely
I will see you tonight.
absolutely ridiculous. In my mind, at least, a tip is basically a gift to that person, and you're allowed to give away like $17,500 a year to an individual as a gift and not have it taxed. So why the fuck does the government need to tax the $5 gift that I'm giving to the kid that delivered my pizza? So I was excited. I thought for like the first time in my adult life, the Republicans and the Democrats agreed on something and it was actually going to help out normal, working, everyday Americans. And then I wake up and the news cycle hits and every mainstream media outlet and every economist on the planet apparently thinks that this is an awful idea, and they've got the dumbest fucking reasons I've ever heard of in my entire life, and we're going to get into those.
Well, that's corporate media. Of course, everyone in the media is idiots. I mean, listen, the people in charge of stuff are just stupid. All right? All what they are is pretty people. Well, wait, debatable. No. They're just brain dead people. I can't believe I said that they were pretty people. They're brain dead people who read a script. Okay, all corporate media is just an institution that is there for profit. I mean, CNN had the audacity to create their own streaming service. Oh, and if you think I'm lying about that, I'm not. No, CNN in 2022 created a thing called CNN Plus. They thought they were so cool that they could do their own streaming service and that people would pay hard-earned money to watch their streaming crap. They spent $250 million on it. Take a wild guess how long it lasted. If you said 1 month, you were actually spot on. 1 month, and then they shuttered their doors. Give me $250 million. I'll show you what I can do. I'll probably be irresponsible.
Right after a word from our
And nobody better say you're sweeping.
Sponsor. This video is brought to you by Rocket Money. It is pretty much your one-stop shop for all your financial needs. It helps you establish a budget, it monitors your credit, and it even lets you track your net worth. But what I use it most for is helping me track and cancel all my subscriptions because I'm always trying to watch MMA fights, my wife's trying to watch Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever, and then we have to sign up for a different streaming service every other day because for some reason every MMA fight and every Caitlin Clark game is on a different streaming service for some reason. So you gotta sign up for the 7-day free trial, then you forget that you signed up for it, and then you're paying $10 a month for the next 10 years. In addition to that, all your other recurring bills like your cell phone bill, your internet provider, your cable, Rocket Money will actually help you negotiate lower prices for those bills as well. So if you want to give Rocket Money a try, you can check it out at rocketmoney.com/fatfiles. I'm going to have that link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, the history of tipping. Tips have functionally only actually been taxed since like 2012. Buh! Actually, tips have always been considered taxable income. Buh! Yeah, I'm aware. That's why I use the word functionally in there because, yeah, they were technically taxable income since 1913 when the income tax was first established. However, they were never actually really taxed until about 2012. And that's
Damn it. I knew the end of the world happened. Goku wasn't strong enough.
because you couldn't enforce it, right? Because at the end of the day, laws only matter if you can actually enforce them. And back in the 1900s, all the transactions were done in cash, and you had to rely on that waiter or waitress or whoever to report the amount of tips they got to the IRS, which nobody on the face of the earth is actually going to do.
Yeah, only losers do that. Anyone lame enough to do that is lame.
Buh! But it's still illegal, so you have to. Buh! Holy shit, I do not understand how people don't understand this concept. Okay, let me break it down for you a little bit more, all right? I live in Iowa, for example, and if I'm sitting...
Iowa, home to Templeton Rye, Alphonse Capone, Saint Alphonse Capone's favorite type of whiskey. Not sponsored, just I have a bottle that I got, and it says Alphonse Capone, like that. Don't judge me.
Down at dinner and somebody says, hey, will you pass the butter? And I grab some margarine instead and pass that to them. That's illegal in the state of Iowa. It is a misdemeanor to pass off margarine as butter, okay? Guess who's enforcing that law? Fucking nobody. It's illegal in Arizona to put llamas in bathtubs. It's illegal in Delaware to whisper in church, okay? None of that shit is getting enforced. Nobody cares. This is one of those times.
Ow!
Christ, Jake, take
Yes.
it easy, man.
Now what? Ow!
Oh, the Blues Brothers. I love this movie. I would actually watch this to hype me up when I was going on leave to Chicago because it's set in Chicago and there's certain landmarks that I remember before they tore them down that we used to drive by when I was a kid back in the day. Things do change. Things do change.
Right. Ow! Jesus Christ! Ah, shit! Jesus Christ!
Now, that being said, the government absolutely does not want it to be one of those times. The government wants to tax tips really, really bad, and they've got a long track record to prove it. In 1965, the IRS really tried to crack down on this when they came out and basically said, like, hey, you're required to report all of your incomes. It's taxable income, and you need to pay us taxes on it. But 1965, everybody was still paying with mostly cash, so everybody continued to just not listen. So the IRS could do literally nothing about it. So, still wanting to get that tax money, in 1982, the IRS came out and then told the employers, hey, we're going to require you to track your employees' tips, and then you report that back to us, okay? Multiple problems with this again. You're asking the employer to side with the government over their own employees, so that's probably not going to happen most of the time. And then, even if that does happen, it's still 1982, everybody's still paying with cash, and if the employer's trying to figure out how much money in tips the employees made, they're just going to lie anyways, so it's still completely ineffective. So the IRS is just getting more and more pissed off. They realize that they really have no way to track this, which means they have no way to enforce it, which means there's people out there just giving money to other people and the government's not getting a cut,
Good. Very good.
which absolutely infuriates them. So in 2000, they basically resort to scare tactics. They launched the Tip Alternative Reporting Agreement, which is essentially an education program for employers and employees, letting them know how dangerous it is if they don't report their tips. Again, completely ineffective.
Don't do it. Don't report it. Break the system. It's fine. No one cares.
effective. So then they launch another program in 2002 known as the Employer Tip Reporting Compliance Agreement, which was basically the same thing all over again. And again, it is completely ineffective. And then in 2007, they get a truly diabolical idea when they come out with the Small Business Work Opportunity Act, which basically goes to the employers and says, hey, you need to start tracking all of your employees' tips. And the more tips you report of your employees, we're going to turn around and give you a tax credit so that you actually make money the more your employees report tips. Basically, they're taking the employer-employee relationship and pitting them against one another over who gets to make the money. Okay,
That's evil. That's evil. No. No.
100% government playbook 101. Take two groups of poor people, get them to fight each other instead. They'll never realize that you're the one being the asshole. Okay, makes perfect sense. They do it all the time.
I say, let them fight each other. Or we lay back, watch, have a drink, play some wagers. Hey!
So this is where reporting on
Seems like a reasonable kind of thing. No.
tips did start to go up quite a bit because some employers were in fact willing to sell out their employees. However, a lot of them still
I don't like snitches.
weren't willing to do that. So then in 2012, the IRS finally came out with the Attributed Tip Income Program, which is basically the IRS saying, hey, it's 2012, most people are paying with a debit or credit card, some electronic form of payment, which means that you now have a digital record of them receiving that money, and we're going to legally require you as the employer to report that information to us.
Gotcha.
And this is where tips really functionally started to be taxed, because even in modern times, if you tip with cash, they can just put that in their pocket and nobody really knows. But
Good.
the vast majority of people tip on the receipt with their debit or credit card, and now there's an electronic paper trail, and they have to end up reporting that to the IRS, and then they do have to pay taxes on it.
Thanks, Obama. No problem, folks. That's all you gotta do. Obama out. And let me be clear. I do it again, too.
Thanks, Obama.
So look, I'm not a
Yep. Thanks, Obama. Obama out. Be sure to vote.
tax expert, I'm not an economist, I'm an electrician that just likes to point out obvious shit, so I figured we've only functionally been taxing tips since like 2007 to 2012, however you want to look at it. I remember when I was a waiter in 2008 in high school, and my boss
2008, I got out of the Marine Corps. God damn, where does the time go?
had to pull me aside and be like, hey, just so you know, our company's going to start reporting all the electronic tips to the IRS, so you're going to have to pay taxes on that on the end of the year. Just be aware, because I worked for a major chain restaurant and they were willing to sell us down the river. So I just figured, like, we've only been taxing this thing for 10 years. In reality, what's it going to hurt to just not tax these guys, right? Because if I end up ordering a pizza during a snowstorm and some 19-year-old kid in a clapped-out Camry comes through, I want to be able to give him a $20 bill in cash as a thank you and not have the government be involved, right? I just want the authority and the agency in my life to be able to do nice things for random strangers and not have the government demand a cut. That's all I want. But apparently I'm wrong, because every single mainstream media outlet started putting out news articles and videos explaining in detail why this is a horrible fucking idea, and all of the economists agree. And then you actually read the articles or you watch the interviews with economists, and they have the dumbest fucking talking points on the planet, to the point that it's actually insulting to your intelligence.
Of course, because corporate media is an idiot. Corporate media is filled with morons. They are not. I'm gonna use my favorite Logan Roy quote. I love you, but you are not serious people. And corporate media and all those pundits there are not serious people. And I really do mean that. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. Corporate media is filled with a bunch of jagoffs.
So the first argument is, if we don't tax tips, it's going to end up costing the government between $100 and $150 billion over the course of the next 10 years. So where are they going to recoup that money from, right? Because you have to go and get that money from somewhere else if we're not going to take it from the waiters and waitresses and delivery drivers.
Where do you get the revenue to offset that? Because it's also apparently going to advance the insolvency date of Social Security's retirement trust fund by over a year.
Now, at a glance, that almost sounds like a mildly coherent opinion if you don't think about it whatsoever. I mean, it's so egregious that one of two things is happening. Either they're just blatantly lying and they know that you're dumb, or two, there's this like phenomenon that happens where you become so well educated that you've been detached from the rest of normal society outside of academia for so long that you no longer have any common sense. And I think that might actually be what's going on here.
No, you're right. No, Nope. You struck gold with that one. They've been in academia for so long that they are really out of touch. And I've met people like that, okay? I met this one person I knew. Okay, this was like after 2016 when Trump got elected. You know, conversation was around politics. And this person, all right, I'm going to leave them anonymous. I won't identify their pronouns or anything like that. But as soon as I just whispered, hey, you know, what do you think about how 2016 turned out? They paused for a minute, and there were other people there, and they were like, please, whatever you do, don't say that name. It upsets me greatly. And y'all know that Dawson's Creek meme where the guy makes a face like, eh? They actually literally made that face. And this is someone who has a lot of academia behind him. All right, just because you got all those diplomas doesn't mean you're all holier than thou. I've met a lot of smart people who have done some stupid things.
Now, look, again, I can't stress this
And you think I'm kidding? I'm not.
enough. Not a tax professional, not an economist, just a guy. But hear me out. What if we just spent less fucking money? You know, like what if we bought and gave away a few less fucking missiles to other countries? Like, I feel like that's a good compromise.
No, I don't think I will.
All right, there you go, Joe Biden. How you doing? Old man Joe Biden. Joe Biden in his latest greatest adventure. Hey, man, who crapped my pants? I know that's Steve Rogers, Captain America, but you know, just wanted to throw that out there. Hey, Joe, you forgot to put your pants on. Nah, I can't wear those. Somebody crapped in them.
No? Okay, we'll just move right on to the next argument then.
There aren't a lot of tipped workers in America.
According to economist Ernie Tedeschi, tipped work accounts for just 2.5% of all employment.
Cool, I understand that most people aren't paid in tips, okay? I'm not rooting for this plan because I think it's gonna change the world on a grand scale. I'm rooting for the plan because I should be allowed to give the fucking delivery driver $10 without the government stepping in like the mafia and demanding their fucking cut.
It's been 24 hours. Got my money?
Yeah, where's my money?
I don't have it, sorry. Well, all right then.
All right then.
That's good, OJ.
Yep. That's Chicago style. I don't approve of it, but St. Alphonse Capone does.
And then the next thing they go on to say with this argument as well, it could be really hard on businesses like restaurants because now the restaurant owner has to deal with the fact that some of his employees just got a tax cut and the people in the kitchen didn't get a tax cut, meaning the waiters effectively just got a raise and the cooking staff didn't, and then people might get mad and quit and it could end up ending their entire business.
That's not how it works.
And this is the part where they're actually insulting your intelligence, right? I mean, you expect me to honestly believe that an entrepreneur that's smart enough to run a fucking business is gonna have the government approach them and be like, hey, I'm gonna take less money from your business. And the entrepreneur is just like, fuck, this is gonna put me under. Having more money is just fucking, I can't do it. It's not manageable.
I haven't cried like that since Titanic.
Titanic. Beautiful movie. You know what's other beautiful? The Titan sub. Or Raising the Titanic. If you guys ever seen the movie, you want to see a movie that's pretty cool that I didn't know exist. It's called Raising the Titanic, and this movie came out before they found the Titanic ship at the bottom of the ocean. It came out before, but it's so beautiful because I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to spoil it, but it's just, gosh darn it, it's such a wonderful film. It's cheesy as all hell, but raising the Titanic from the ocean floor. We're going to raise the Titanic. Make it happen.
Okay, look, controversial opinion. I'm so hardcore capitalist that I wholeheartedly believe that if your business goes under because the government steps in and says, hey, I'm gonna quit fucking over some of your employees. Literally, I'm gonna add more money to what your employees are receiving on a daily basis, and that's what fucking puts you out of business. I don't care, because you suck at being an entrepreneur and you deserve to go out of business at that point. I encourage the competition because I know there's other people out there that if the government stepped in and said, hey, I'm gonna take less money, they'd fucking figure it out. And the best part about this, that's not even the most offensive argument, okay? This is the most offensive argument.
So for example, if you took a delivery worker who delivered food,
Oh, Jesus, the Wall Street Journal. I wouldn't use the Wall Street Journal to line a bird cage, okay? I wouldn't use the Wall Street Journal for cleaning up a mess, okay? I just wouldn't use the Wall Street Journal for anything. If you got nothing nice to say, kid, don't say it at all. Wall Street Journal.
they probably get tips, and so they would qualify for this tax benefit. If you took a delivery worker who delivered packages, they usually don't, so they wouldn't get a tax benefit. I can't think of a good reason why you would want to give a tax break to the person who delivers food, but not to the person who delivers mail.
Okay, to compare a pizza delivery driver to a fucking UPS driver is absolutely fucking insane, okay? It doesn't make any sense. It's on par.
Sorry, I'm actually getting enraged here. Corporate media is filled with a lot of morons, okay? They're filled with morons. Morons! And if you know what? I recommend a TV show. There's a show called Succession. All the characters in it are evil. They're horrible people. They're not good people. But it's a great show. If you want to know why corporate media is the way that it is, it's a perfect microcosm of that entire industry.
Or with being like, well, you know, we don't want to give CNAs a tax cut because then we're not going to give doctors a tax cut, and they're basically the same job. They both just walk around the fucking hospital wearing pajamas, right? No, one of them is paid significantly more than the other for performing more complex fucking tasks, okay? A UPS driver on average makes $27 an hour, with wages going as high as $43 an hour, on top of 18 paid holidays and sick days, 7 weeks of vacation, and industry-leading fucking healthcare. The pizza delivery guy's making $7 to $13 an hour with no fucking benefits whatsoever. If no tax on tips goes into effect, there's zero fucking UPS drivers that are gonna quit their job and go work for Pizza Hut. Also, I lied. That was actually the second most offensive argument. The most offensive argument is this.
Let's say I'm a salesperson that gets a commission, or let's say that I'm somebody on Wall Street that gets a year-end bonus. So I reclassify my commission as a tip, or I reclassify my year-end bonus as a tip. The employer helps out because they'll get a benefit.
I'm smacking him in his mouth. Smack him so hard those glasses fall off. Smug SOBs.
And so everybody wins.
Okay, this is blatantly taking advantage of the fact that most Americans don't really understand how taxes and income works, and they don't really know how to read their W-2, okay? You can't just go to your fucking employer and be like, hey, Jim, I thought about this. I'd rather my salary get converted from normal income to tips. Hurdy har har har. That's not how any of that fucking works. And if you don't believe me, go to your boss tomorrow and be like, hey, boss, I've thought about this a lot, and I would really appreciate it if on my W-2, you changed all the wages I've earned and told the IRS that those were capital gains, because capital gains are taxed far less than normal wages. You want to know what your boss is going to tell you? No, because that's fucking tax fraud. You want to know why? Because the IRS has very clear definitions of what earned wages are and what capital gains are. They also have a very clear definition of what a tip is. From the IRS, tips are discretionary, optional, or extra payments determined by the customer that employees receive from customers. So a salesperson receiving a commission, not a fucking tip. So a CEO getting a bonus at the end of the year, not a fucking tip. Like the one time the government is actually trying to give a tax cut to lower income working people, they come out swinging with the lies of, well, this tax cut's actually only gonna affect the rich because the rich will just fucking magically turn all their income into tips, is fucking nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. Hitting the nail on the head.
Okay, I'm calm. Now,
No, I'm not. I'm not calm. I'm not calm. And there's not enough sweeping to make it calm.
To be completely fair and intellectually honest, there was one good argument that these economists managed to come up with, and that was that if you don't tax tips, you kind of end up incentivizing it in a way, and you're going to help prop up tipping culture even more than it already is. And a lot of people don't like tipping culture in America and wish it would just go away. Which, you know what, to be fair, actually a great argument, right? Because we all feel that way, especially recently, because now they fucking whip the iPad around when you're like picking up your own pizza. It's not being delivered. They still want a 20% tip. Get the fuck out of here, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't mind tipping. I'll tip the waiter, the waitress, the delivery driver. I'll tip my tattoo artist. I'll tip my hairstylist. I mean, my wife does my hair, so her tip's a little bit different. But the point remains, okay? I don't mind giving out.
Clever. That's a super sweet power move.
Tips when you're actually doing something. But at the same time, it is a weird cultural norm that seemingly only America has in modern times, and it is kind of dumb, and if we got rid of it, it wouldn't hurt my feelings one bit. However,
And you know, when I was in Japan in 2020, I tried to tip a few people, and I was told, like, hey, kid, they don't do that here in Japan. I was like, oh, see, I learned something too. You know, I only did it twice, but like the second time, it was like, oh, okay, because that could kind of get them in trouble, or the workers there, you know. So I was like, oh, okay. Learned a lesson. Lesson learned.
Notion that the government should step in and tax it to decentivize tips is also complete fucking nonsense. Because guess what? If you actually do want to get rid of tips, one way to guarantee that you never ever achieve your goal is to allow the government to keep taxing them, making $150 billion, because then they're never going to get rid of it because they're making all the money off of it.
That's not fair.
You're learning. Uh-oh. Capital gains tax.
Okay, this is going to be a tough pill to swallow. You might not like this opinion, but guess what? If you don't like tipping, don't tip. It's 100% voluntary. You don't have to do it, okay? And guess what? If you get enough people that quit tipping, it'll just go the fuck away and the problem is solved, okay? That's the answer. The answer is not, I don't like tipping, therefore I'm going to root for taxes, okay? That's completely fucking absurd. Oh, but maybe if the government taxes me more, I'll finally get free healthcare or public...
No, that's not how it's going to work.
Schools will be better. No, the government's never going to fucking make public schools better or give you free healthcare, okay? They're going to take your money, they're going to buy missiles, and they're going to shoot them at poor people in countries that you don't know how to spell. Okay, don't get this twisted. I don't like that. I'm not rooting for it. I think it sucks. However, my point is, if you're advocating that the government should tax tips so that they can divert like a third of that money over to healthcare or education or whatever you think is important, hear me out. What if you just did that? What if you took all of the money that you were going to tip that person and you donated it to the local school instead? You could solve the problem way better than the government ever can. Quit letting the government and the news gaslight you into rooting for fucking taxes. And apparently in this instance, it's not even the government. Literally, the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate are on the same page, and it's just the news trying to gaslight you into taxes, which makes no sense to me. Anyways, I gotta go before I give myself a heart attack. Sorry this was so unhinged, but thank you for watching. Quack bang, out.
You made a lot of good points.
Seriously, am I the only person that feels this way? Because reading the news headlines in the comment sections kind of makes me feel like I am.
No, you're not. And look, let me just give my little opinion on corporate media. It's not designed to inform you. It's there for profit. All right? You think a certain guy named Horny Bill Clinton with the Telecoms Act making corporate media the institutions that they are today because they bought up all the media. Now all the media is owned by all these corporations. There was a famous cartoon show called TV Funhouse that they used to do, and the one guy did one episode in particular that really got him fired, and it had to do with how corporate media is taking over everything, and it was even calling out MSNBC, NBC at the time. Again, great cartoon. Really great cartoon. Really great cartoon. But corporate media, they're not there to inform you. They're filled with a lot of smug pieces of crap who think they're holier than thou. I've met a couple of those people in my lifetime, and I hated every single one of them. And yes, I have gone to college. I have a bachelor's degree, all that good stuff, whatever. But I've met people in the realm of academia that have forgotten or never knew what it's like to work retail or anything else. And I have, when I worked in retail, even before I joined the Marine Corps, and when I've done other odd jobs, I've met a lot of academic, wiser people. Not the best stuff in the world. So look, to all those people who work at restaurants and everything else, to the waiters and waitresses and pizza delivery guys and gals, keep your heads on a swivel. Just keep pushing forward. That's all I can promise you. And keep on sweeping. In fact, sweep that like button. There you go. That's right, folks. But are you sweeping? That's my question I want to ask all of you. Are you sweeping? Are you? Are you really? Are you?